Hi, and welcome to another episode of Through the Web, where we talk all things business, tech, and internet. I'm Dagogo.
I'm Tozif.
And I'm Braden.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's the fourth time we've done this intro?
Yeah, some technical difficulties. But we were talking about the iPhone and its keyboard, and I was saying that it feels like you have to press a little bit harder than you do on Android to register a touch for some reason. This is just general texting, none of the swipe stuff. And I'm not sure if it's the screen protector I have or if it's just that's how it is. Because I've tested both phones next to each other and it seems like Android, well, my Samsung anyway, is just very, just touch it and it goes through. But with the iPhone, it's kind of a little harder. So it's something I wasn't expecting. And last time we recorded this, Braden said that he reckons it's just something you have to get used to and then you get used to it. So you still stand with that statement.
Yeah.
From 30 seconds ago.
From 30 seconds ago.
Has anything changed since...
No.
He's like, actually. No. So I guess we got a lot of stuff to get into this episode.
Yeah, but how's the week otherwise?
Well, yeah, not too bad. I've started watching a new Netflix series called Bodies. Mm-hmm. It's essentially about a time-traveling villain who... The story is weird. There's 4 simultaneous stories going on in like 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053. And I don't know, it's kind of cool because they all interlink and it's kind of crazy. There's a lot going on. It's pretty intense. But I know the show is not for everyone, but I really do like it. It's kind of got this sci-fi mixed with like detective work and all of this. So.
What was that other one that the German Netflix show from a few years ago that was very popular? Was it Dark?
Yes.
That also had like those timeline things?
Haven't heard of that.
I'm pretty sure it was.
What's it about?
I didn't end up watching it, but it was very popular for a little bit. And towards the end of the show, apparently people needed to have like notepads and stuff because it was so hard to follow the time, like different timelines.
This one's getting a bit like the first 3 episodes.
Was it Dark?
No,
with the yellow...
I don't think that was Dark.
No?
No, was it the one where you could watch any episode in a different order?
No,
and
no,
it had
no,
a different...
No, it is Dark. It is Dark. Yeah, it is Dark.
Okay.
From 2017, yeah, that's when it was famous. I didn't watch it, but I know people who watched it were.
Okay.
I am watching Low Key second season. Apparently, it's also a lot of time traveling and stuff. So
Low Key.
Yeah, the Marvel.
Oh, okay.
One. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like on the down low. Low key.
Low Key.
Okay.
Low Key. Yeah. But other than that, I was away for a week to Thailand and Singapore. Quick getaway. I guess that's the closest you can get. Well, not the closest. I'd say Bollywood, the closest from Perth. But it was pretty good, humid, very nice cities. Both in Bangkok. I was there last year. Incredible. But Singapore is the first time I went out. It's just the way they built it, man. It's incredible. I did speak to a few people who weren't big fans of Singapore because he stopped enjoying it for a little bit because the same things over and over because it's so small. And also they feel it doesn't, it feels like it was artificially placed like Dubai in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And therefore it lacks organic character, whatever that means to, I guess, individuals. It's a bit subjective, but I really enjoyed it, so that was good. But I bring that up because on the way back on my flight, I watched the Blackberry film.
The Blackberry film.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I think it's, again, a subjective take because if you're not into the tech world, maybe you won't find movies like these interesting.
Right.
But I really enjoyed how they showcase, the rise and the fall of it. And it wasn't too long. I think it was just over an hour and a half. And acting wise, it could have been better. I think the casting choices, again, if you look at the co-founders, the real life counterparts that they had on the acting counterparts they had from the real life people, which is I think Mike Lazaridis and I think the other co-founder was Doug. They look nothing like what they're in the film, but the guy like who's kind of spearheaded the whole thing, Jim Baldsley, he did really well. He played the character. He looks like him in real life as well, and he's definitely the best performer in the whole thing. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt. I think that's a story that yeah.
I mean, you covered it in Cold Fusion,
I have covered it,
and
so,
it's also one of your more popular videos from a few years ago.
It's a great story, and I think I saw the trailer and obviously how the reaction was to the unveiling of the iPhone and whatnot. And,
exactly, and that part, because I didn't watch the trailer, I watched like a little bit of it, and I think I mentioned it in the podcast where I was like, I wasn't too excited by it, but then when I watched it now, it's like it's pretty good. But there was that moment when the iPhone's released in the film that showed it, and everybody just gathered around. It's like, oh, this does not look good.
Yeah.
It does not look good for BlackBerry. But how the founder Mike took it personally, and how he was like, they're idiots. Nobody's going to use a screen phone.
That's what everyone thought. Well, not everyone, but like the CEO.
But he was like, he took it on a personal level. It's like, they're all idiots. Nobody's going to use it. It doesn't have that BlackBerry click that everybody so loves, and how just to catch up, he had to do all these random things. It was almost like a reactionary way of making products as opposed to a strategic planned manner. But overall, definitely. I think if you're into that world, worth a watch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just on that topic though, I did watch a video about like Microsoft and their whole Windows Mobile thing, not Windows Mobile, but Windows Phone, and how like so many different CEOs through the decades now have said, oh, we regret doing that, like canceling Windows Phone.
Really?
Like Satya Nadella recently said it as well. And it's like, it makes sense in hindsight, but at the time it kind of was, you couldn't win. They were too late. They already came to the game too late. And also there was no app developers that were ready to develop for it because there wasn't a big enough market. So you couldn't really get the ball rolling. So it was kind of doomed from the beginning. So, but I just thought it was interesting how they all regretted it.
Yeah, well, I don't know how that would play out, but I mean, we do have a few other topics today that kind of covers hardware, maybe a bit of app stores that are being launched here and there with OpenAI.
Really?
I mean, that's kind of like the way that they're positioning themselves.
I
eventually. Didn't you see the Dev Day updates?
No.
Okay. Well,
look, just tell me.
We'll get into that. I mean, I was talking about the founders of BlackBerry, but speaking of founders, was in the hospital for a minor stroke. Yeah.
Oh no.
And it just happened this week. Steve Wozniak. But I think he's on the better.
Okay.
As well.
No. It's
I mean, it's. I think we're hitting that. I guess our generation is hitting that age where people we look up to are definitely. I mean, you weren't a big Friends fan, but Matthew Perry passed away as well. Were you Friends fan, Brendan?
Yeah, my mum and my sister watched it a lot, so you'd walk past it. I've seen every episode at this point because it was on repeat in the household
Passively.
forever. But yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad, and that made me think. Slowly you're hitting that point where your heroes of heroes are. In that, even though his was not really an age-specific thing, but I guess one other thing I want to talk about before we get into topics was the last Beatles song ever got released this week.
Yeah, you sent me a link. I actually hadn't listened.
And again, I bring that up because I was listening to it on the
at 2 a.m. mind you.
It's because it came up the making of, and the reason I bring that up again was because. They used the demo from John Lennon from decades ago.
Yeah.
And the demo included a piano, like him singing over like this piano rhythm. And he was playing the piano as well. So all this time they didn't have tech that was good enough to be able to extract and isolate the vocals.
Yeah.
Finally, now they've got something that allowed them to do that, and of course, had Paul McCartney and Ringo. Obviously, George Harrison's not there anymore. But then they used AI to build the rest of the things as well for John Lennon's voice. And I guess the reason why again I bring that up is how I think a few months ago we talked about they were planning to do it, and now they've kind of released it, and it's a very kind of somber, melancholic, kind of nostalgic song, and the lyrics kind of fit well with saying goodbye to the Beatles. But just the use of technology, I think in that little clip that I shared with you is how they were kind of talking about how even though it's a really old band, but they were always at the forefront of using the latest tech that was available to them at each time, and how again this was something that
continuation,
and how it kind of all brought it all together for them to release the last ever Beatles song.
And it sounded classic Beatles, or
it did. There's this. I mean, it's not their greatest song, obviously, but I thought it was quite something to be able to be I guess you wouldn't think that you'd be alive, or in your lifetime you would have a Beatles release, right? So I guess from that perspective, it's quite interesting and historic in some ways, but also the use of AI in it to be able to do that, I thought was again the perfect use case that you want AI to be in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's pretty cool.
I guess we'll stick with the founders side of things. WeWork.
Finally.
I mean, we're waiting for it to happen.
Well, I made a video in 2019 saying this was going to happen.
Fair enough. I mean, Adam Newman is in his own world. I mean, we did cover
his new venture.
His new venture about housing of all things. But for those who don't know, WeWork, I think last week, it's again a company that's the shared office firm that was once valued at $47 billion. And it was forced to file for bankruptcy in the US last week. The decision followed the meteoric rise and fall, which was once seen the future of the workplace. The filing will give it protection from its creditors and landlords as it restructures its vast debts. Based on its latest share price, WeWork is now worth less than $50 million, as opposed to almost $47 billion. The bankruptcy will affect the company's businesses in the US and Canada. The firm said that its co-working spaces will remain open and operational elsewhere, including the UK. So I'm guessing Australia will probably see still some of it here and there. So what do you think of all that?
It's just it was a bad business model from the beginning. Like he did just buying all those buildings, it's just so capitally intensive. And then, with the amount of debt that they have, the interest rates rising, there's no way it was going to survive. But I'm very surprised it lasted as long as it did. I thought this should have happened a while ago, because I thought when I made that video that it would be like 1 to 2 years we'll start seeing some real problems, but it went way past that. So
full transparency.
Yeah.
We used WeWork.
I know. I was thinking about that
meeting.
I was thinking about that.
And it's almost because of, not because of, but almost just to try it out.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
And
not gonna lie, it was cool. Like the office was cool. They had all this stuff, but
everything was incredible in terms of just where it was located in Perth and the ones that they had, the building that they have in Perth is quite in the heart of the city and very modern, very chic. And even the booking process was very simple, straightforward. It wasn't too bad, but it was expensive. Just for an hour's worth of meeting, it's I can't imagine using it on a regular basis. In some ways, that kind of prompted us to get our own studio space.
And I'm sure many other people did that
exactly.
as well. So it's kind of...
And I think with COVID as well, they're probably trying to, during the whole COVID situation, they were also trying to make up for the money lost. So maybe they were hiking up the prices a little bit, as it is the case with the whole economy right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't wonder how Adam Newman feels about that. He probably doesn't care. He's got his cashed out and his...
What's his new business called? Is it Flow or something?
Yeah, it's Flow.
Flow.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the actual complete business plan has been revealed yet, but we know quite a few details about it.
Yeah, I mean, again, for those who haven't checked out the Colvision video, do check it out to see where his head is at, I guess, at this moment. But it'll be interesting to see how that kind of pans out, given his...
Was there a documentary made about Adam Newman yet? Or do we not have that?
I'm sure there are there's a documentary about everything these days.
Yeah.
But the WeWork, there was a film
right.
on Apple TV, if I'm not mistaken, which I haven't watched yet, which I intend to watch at some point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool. Well, speaking of collapsing companies, Omegle has been shut down. The video and text chat site that paired strangers together to talk randomly has been shut down as part of legal mediation with a female user who sued the company, claiming its defective and negligent design enabled her to be sexually abused through the site. Omegle's chatting service was shut down Wednesday, just a week after it settled in court. The plaintiff, identified as AM, her lawsuit filed in 2021 alleged that she met someone in his 30s on Omegle who forced her to take nude photos and videos over a 3-year period. She was only 11 in 2014.
I mean, did any of you use Omegle at the height of its popularity?
I don't think so. What was the other one? Chat roulette. I think I used that.
I don't know what the other one. Did you use?
I feel like I went on Omegle when I was like a teenager. Once or twice.
When I was a kid, I remember.
It was popular for a period.
I remember seeing the Skype. Like when I think of Omegle, I remember seeing the Skype logo as well, because that's the time when Skype was also very popular. I remember using it. It was almost like it gave me that MIRC, those early IRC vibes, like those chat rooms, or just pair up with random people. I think you'd only do that when you're kind of bored. Just nothing else to do kind of thing.
But as dangerous as it is, I think that kind of connecting with a random person is a bit cool. But obviously people out there are crazy. So
and I think the founder, I remember in his interview as it shut down, he said that the whole idea of it was to accentuate on the fact that it is the internet, where you're supposed to meet with random people all around the world and have a pen pal across the ocean and whatnot. And I'm sure a lot of people probably did get that, but of course, along with that comes the dangerous dark sides of
sorry, just as you're talking about that, I can't remember what video this was, but I was doing research for one. This was years and years ago, and it came up with this little documentary. I came across this little documentary of people talking about BBS platforms. I don't know if you know those, but they were like pre-internet. So it was, you dial on your modem and it will connect you to a website, which was a website, but that website was a phone number, essentially. So it was only that one place. But anyway, people would make communities and whatnot, and chat rooms formed. And one of the guys was saying, this is amazing. You can talk to anyone in the world, and you'd expect it to be pages upon pages of everyone saying, go to hell, go to hell, go to hell. But it's not like that. It's so like everyone just talks and is excited. And then I was just laughing. I was like, yeah, that's totally gone now. But, I think from the early days, that whole worldwide connection and just kumbaya singing was always that promise. Like everyone thought like, we could start this thing, whatever, if it's a platform or a website, and everyone will be cordial and it will be good. But just kind of...
Is it like how you remember only the rosy bits of early days and not the terrible things? Is it a bit like that, do you think, for us? Because when I do think back of the early internet days of connecting with random people, and I remember the IRC stuff, like I can't think of a really negative experience. It's mostly like, what are you doing?
No, because I think at that time it was new, so it's like everyone was just
courteous.
Excited to be there. That's kind of what I remember. And this footage was from like 91 or 92 or something. Okay. So it was like this guy. This guy was just like saying what it was like, and I think as time progressed, when the internet became more prolific and more people got access, then the fringes started, activating, and then just the most vile people have the same access as everyone else. So,
Braden, you're what, maybe the next generation, or would you be the same generation?
What's your birth year?
97.
You're 1 year into Generation Z. So Generation Z starts at 97.
Yeah.
And would you call yourself a 90s kid in some ways, or no?
What defines you as a 90s? I guess remembering the cartoons from the early 2000s and all that. I don't know. Because
I think there is a bit of a gradient or spectrum that you are kind of Gen Z, but you're in between millennial and Gen Z. I think Braden probably falls on that.
It's probably
I don't think you're Gen Z.
No, I mean, growing up, like the internet wasn't like a main part of life until 20.
Right. So you didn't grow up with the internet as much as I guess a lot of the current people.
No, so I got a smartphone when I was in year 8, I think it was. I got my iPhone.
So do you have any experience from the early days of getting on the internet? Like, was it mostly chill or?
Yeah, back then. I mean, the only thing we used the internet for was like LimeWire.
So you're kind of millennial.
Yeah, that's
very millennial. LimeWire is 100% millennial.
Yeah, that and Skype and MSN back then.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's the same.
pretty much
deal.
millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in that zone. So, but it would be interesting to have someone from the early Gen Z, or like maybe the late Gen Z, who's I guess well enough to form a sentence, and
I'll
have a chat with them.
Because
like my nephew, for example, he's
that's alpha probably, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Gen Z 97 to 2012 is Gen Z.
Right.
So
yeah, it's but say if somebody was born in like in the 2010-ish, maybe in the teens now, it would be interesting to see their perspective as to how kind of, not growing up with the internet, but growing up
after it,
basically. Like on the internet pretty much.
Yeah.
How does that impact their relationship with talking to others on the internet, and has it mostly been negative for them? Like, is there more bullying or more cyber issues for them?
That would be interesting, because you were talking about, sorry, Braden, you were talking about having an iPhone in year 8. I couldn't imagine, like, smartphones didn't exist when I was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, when was the first time you had a phone? It would be on year 8,
First
right?
time I had a phone was probably, year 9.
Yeah.
But that was a candy, like, smartphones didn't exist.
Yeah, the one with the Nokia torchlight
Yeah,
phone.
it was, it was literally a Nokia. And I was amazed because it had a color screen. I was like, whoa, yeah.
So the one
And a
that
camera.
I had, the one that I had the camera with the lights on the side, it'd ring up.
Oh, yeah. I think
and you could make like tones and whatnot on the Nokia. Obviously, it had the not the snake, but the space.
I know
that
the
space
one.
game.
I know what one you're talking
It was an
about.
incredible game.
Yeah,
I'd spend
I think
hours.
those little games they're addictive. But that's all you had. So.
But no, just I guess the death of Omegle definitely is
End of an era.
End of an era, and a significant part of internet folklore and culture to some point. Shout out to at Hot Partition, who suggested this topic as well.
Okay.
Online.
Just another thing about the randomness. Did you ever know the site StumbleUpon?
Yeah.
I used to use that a lot. Like, for those of you who don't know, it was a website where you'd sign up and you'd say your interests, like I like art, I like technology, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll just hit this kind of randomized button and it'll take you to a site that is based on your interest. And you come up with some cool stuff there. But I feel like things like that just, everyone just has their main portals that they go to and that's it. Like, it's just, you get your information off a social media feed and you don't really go to websites anymore.
There's actually something very similar right now I remember seeing it just only a couple of weeks ago. This slide by this guy, and I forget the name, and we'll have to put on the comments or description later, or maybe it'll just take a second to look it up. But it was very similar, where it's like this endless kind of side of games and little like tidbits and whatnot, and it's named after like an individual. I have to you give me a second.
Okay.
But it's very, very cool. I'll definitely make sure to link it up in the description. Very, very cool site where you can just do so many different things, and it reminded me of the early days of the internet, like almost like an archived site. But yeah, pretty cool.
In other news, AI Zone, OpenAI's GPT provide a way for developers to build their own conversational AI systems powered by OpenAI models and publish them on an OpenAI hosted marketplace called the GPT Store. Developers will even be able to monetize their GPTs based on how many people use them. Sam Altman said on stage at the conference, "We believe that if you give people better tools, they'll do amazing things." Altman said, "You can build a GPT and then you can publish it for others to use. And because they combine instructions, expand knowledge and actions, they can be more helpful to you."
Okay.
So this is the
App
part
Store,
of the bigger picture that OpenAI is working on.
And thinking about it, it makes complete sense. I think it makes complete sense. It's a good move, I think, monetarily. Because obviously they take a cut of whatever these people are making. It's like, I don't know. The first thing that came to mind is the Andrew Tate model, where you get people to go out and do things and then take the cut of that. But obviously nothing to do with that. But I think, monetarily it's a good way of making money, because if you give things to developers, if you're a company and you were trying to make all of those things, you wouldn't be able to. But giving it out to developers, they are invested. They want to make the best thing that they can, and obviously that's good for the parent company who's providing this platform. So, I think it's pretty cool.
Have you seen like building the GPT itself?
No.
So you can build your own. Oh, you haven't seen this?
I haven't seen
So
anything.
probably the biggest, and that's why it's interesting, because I was thinking on the way here how, we've been talking about ChatGPT for almost a year now, right? And there was this big rise in hype, and then it kind of slowly died down over the last few months. And I would say this conference is probably one of their biggest things that they have planned, because it's entirely shaped around developers and also like regular users. But this would have gone under the radar for a lot of people, because I think people are now kind of tired of listening to AI. But I think this definitely is one of their more.
All right, so you're saying this is one of the biggest. So just give me like
for example,
three dot points that.
Okay, so one obviously is the
App Store,
the App Store or the marketplace essentially. The main thing, in my opinion, is also building your own GPTs. So now you can upload to a knowledge base, create your own GPT, and then you can. So that's what they mentioned in the marketplace, that you can sell it, but you can also use it by yourself. So, for example, you can upload a whole book, train it, and then add more books to it, and basically make it a specific GPT catered to yourself or that specific topic that you can then deploy in other areas or use it for yourself. And that's something that every user can do without coding. Big shift in what I guess even when we spoke about it, that would be the next frontier of having a personal assistant and doing so many other things essentially. But yeah, that's the big news, I'd say, out of this, and in a way I think changes again the way you use ChatGPT.
Okay, but I guess I don't know how useful it would be to an individual in the personal setting though, because yes, you can train it on certain data that you have, but what would make that better or more specific than just a general huge language model? Because
now it's specific to what you feed it yourself. It's your own GPT. It's your own.
I get it, but like I'm talking about the use case. Like, if it's like a medical, whatever, I get it. But if it's just you, you're like, oh, I want a GPT to be trained on.
Like say for work purposes. Say if you work as, I don't know, like give me an example. Could be either an accountant or whatever, right? You could feed it all your work-related data into building the GPT, as well as any books that might help you get into that, or maybe even other resources that you would have used, and just basically build a GPT. And then you have access to that anytime, anywhere. And if you need any questions answered, it's just there for you.
So it's kind of like, you're this guy, you're working, and it's like, let me build my coworker.
It's like give them all the information. It's your personal assistant, essentially. Yeah. And again, the next frontier from here would be a hardware that takes that into consideration, and that you can chat with, or
they've already got that. I've used it. Remember the voice thing?
Yeah, it's I guess it kind of goes into the next part of the conversation, which is the Humane Pin release and the reactions to that. But a lot of the promises, again, there was that you could just speak to ChatGPT through that pin. But I'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot that you can do on a work, professional, even on a personal level. But I don't think many individuals would be using it for personal stuff.
Because you might as well use the regular GPT.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to build something for the day-to-day stuff. I don't know. Like, Brandon, would you use it for any of your work-related stuff?
No, I don't think I really have any use case for it. I don't know. I don't even use the normal GPT really that often. I used to use it a little bit, but I think if it had like really tailored answers to like certain aspects of like the industry that we're in, I guess, but I think it's a bit nuanced.
I think you have to build a fair bit to get what you want for your personal custom reasons. And maybe, I guess, if you're not that tech savvy, you might help with someone who's into it. So I'm seeing a rise of I'll help you build your GPT-4 or you'll help your own GPT.
Like just a whole new level of scammers, I guess.
That's true.
Like,
with any
buy my course, $400. I'll tell you how to build the perfect GPT. But anyway, I think you were going to talk about the Humane Pin, which I want to get onto. I've got some
Yeah,
thoughts
I mean,
about
look, it came out. We talked about it before it was launched. It was coming out, and it did have I guess, somewhat of a launch. A few demos shown. Last week it would have been.
Yeah. So the thing is, I haven't seen the launch video. I've seen like a little reel of it. Yeah. And I've just seen people clowning on them so hard.
What are your thoughts and what have you seen?
So people are saying like they showed, are they husband and wife, these two?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Imran and Bethany.
Yeah, I know
Imran. Ex-Apple workers, yeah.
So I saw the meme was them announcing some kind of iMessage thing, and they were like on stage, like really enthusiastic, and then it was cut scene with them like unveiling this, and they're just at the table, very down looking. But people were like, they're so much more enthusiastic about the iPhone stuff than this launch. That was just whatever. But people were just saying, I don't really see what the point is, because if you want an AI that you can just talk to, that's kind of cool. But like, when would you actually use it? If you want to have the weather or whatever menial task you would want a voice assistant to help you with, you could just use your phone. And then on the other side of things, if you have like entertainment, it's terrible for that. So it's like you have to carry this extra device that gives you like this little sliver of use cases. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you're right. I think the value prop is unclear. Like, what is it exactly for? Because you can make phone calls with it. There's a laser thing that points, and there's other elements, but it doesn't have a screen. So essentially, it's a screenless phone that does AI stuff essentially at this stage. But they are not positioning as a phone. They're positioning as a companion.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna get into the hardware later, but in terms of the actual use case, you're right. It's hard to really have like a specific reason of carrying it, because now it means you have your phone and yet another extra device, which again is troublesome. But then they can't add a screen to it, because then it'll become a phone,
and then people compare it to that.
Exactly. So it's a tricky situation, which is where it tells me I think they're a bit early into the market for something like this, where, again, the need for something like this isn't quite clear yet, because people are still getting used to using a chat GPT and whatnot. It had some showcases where apparently you put up your...
it could recognize objects.
Apparently it showed a book, and it just said, okay, how much does it cost? And it says, okay, $29.99 or something. Buy it, and then just buys it. And then there was this case of showing like a handful of almonds and says how much protein is in it, and it just scans the like almond and then just says how much. But then it's just like
it's so extra. It's kind of like
extra, but at the same time, it's I don't think it's accurate still. Like, for example, the almond stuff. Like the and I was listening to a Verge a recap of that, where they're saying, wouldn't you want to weigh the almonds? Like, I think they use ChatGPT as their base model. I don't think they have their own AI. So it's like you're using ChatGPT as your foundational model for use cases like this. So it does seem like what is it for kind of thing.
Well, because the Humane was announced. When was it? Because I remember people talking about this like a year ago.
So it's
or
2018.
2018
I think is when they found it. So ChatGPT wouldn't have
been.
And
that's the thing. It's like, what was their plan?
Initially, exactly. So again, that makes me think it was probably something to do with voice assistants, because that's when it was the Alexas and the HomePods and whatnot were quite big, or bigger than I guess in terms of hype cycle anyway. So I'm guessing they're trying to rival that element, and then when they saw ChatGPT rise, they're like, oh, we have to integrate it somehow. So you're right. I think it which is again makes you question, like, what is the value prop?
So the only thing that would make it work, in my opinion, is if it was an order of magnitude better than any voice experience you can get on any chatbot ever. So like, you would talk to it and instantly it would understand what you mean, and like about anything. But I have a feeling it's not going to really be like that. And even if it was, like, some people would just still say, I'd rather use ChatGPT.
And I guess this is where again, Meta's Ray-Bans with the voice recognition could perform miles better if they, because it's something you don't have to carry extra. Like, you can just wear a sunglass or just
and I think that, sorry to derail there, but I think that I was just watching a few more videos on the Ray-Bans, and I think that free feeling of having your hands free and not feeling like you're wearing a device is immensely powerful. It's almost bigger than the sum of its parts in terms of like having a device that can do certain things, but when you add not having to carry anything or not even worry about it, that's like, it's a different level to a lot of other technology that we have. So I think that Meta, like out of some kind of strike of genius again, have managed
somehow cockroach, man, I told you, never going away.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I feel that I personally am not a fan. Like, I don't think I'd like
in terms, not a fan of the Humane.
Sorry, of the medical. Yeah. Like, it's just me and my privacy. Yeah. Like, it's like having a million cameras around. Yes. Like we do anyway, but it's just another level,
Yeah.
But in terms of from a strictly technological point of view and a marketing point of view and a product point of view, I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah, and just going to the hardware, as I mentioned, apparently it weighs as much as a tennis ball, so it's not that sleek. So imagine like having that pin on a t-shirt and just put it on one side, right? And you'll feel it. Yeah. That there's something on your t-shirt or whatever. Yeah. But apparently also because it's it does get it eats up a lot of the battery as well because it's so small. So the way they've kind of went around it is quite interesting. Is apparently the clip that you use, the magnetic clip you use on the back, that is the charger. So you can just swap that bit. Right. So I think that's a clever workaround. But again, for example, if I'm at the beach, right, and I want to just go by the water and stuff, and I want to take my shirt off or something, right, or if somebody wants to do that, they'd rather have the Ray-Bans or something that's stuck to their shorts. Yeah,
but the thing is, as you're saying this, another problem with it is they're designing this for you to wear a particular way. Yeah. It seems like shirt pocket or like where else? Because if you put it on the outside, I think your pants pocket will be too thick for that. That's the feeling I get anyway. Yeah.
So like suits. Imagine if you're wearing a suit or something, like you wear it like on the inside of the shirt, right? So.
Yeah. So I feel like that alone is it's gonna.
So that all that tells me like so I think there's some cool technological elements, like for example the charging bit, the way it's reading stuff, but I guess the use case is still not developed, which tells me they're probably a bit early in the market for something like this, or it's not a completely, it's like the first gen of perhaps something we might see 3 or 5 years down the line, which is being used on more, and then Google just, or I don't know, somebody will just
someone come and do it better. Imagine if it was Apple. No, but the thing is like, so when you said 2018 that they were talking about this, it did ring a bell because I did see some buzz about this and some patent designs and whatnot, and I was like, oh wow, like ex-Apple employees and like this is going to be the next thing, the thing beyond iPhone or the thing beyond smartphone. But seeing it is kind of like I don't know, that horse drawing of the final season of Game of Thrones. I was like, they started off well and then
you gotta put that picture up.
That is what it reminds me of. Like they started off with a grand idea and then it seems like they just didn't quite get there in the end.
Yeah, and again, overall, it feels like they're a bit early into whatever game they're trying to play. But at the same time, it's like, do we yet want another like big Vision Pro stuff on your head, or another wearable, or something that is a little less, on you? I mean, it is on you, but you know what I mean. Like that's something that you don't have to kind of pretty much put on you to be able to use, right? So I guess I like the fact that they're working on something a little bit different to what Apples and Metas are working on, which is like vision and wearables, and they're going a bit more on the audio, voice, rather than the visuals side of things. So
look, don't get me wrong. I think it's innovative, and I think there will be others. I think this is not.
So apparently, there's a pendant, like a ring, a ring or like a necklace kind of thing that you can wear. I don't know the company, but something you can look into as well. That's also working towards having a voice recognition AI wearable tech.
Right.
So that would be an interesting direction as well. What else can you get on? I don't know. Earrings?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, unless just earbuds. Like you put on earbuds and it just listens to your voice.
I think maybe Apple comes out with AirPods that does AI better than
it's like
That's it. That's all you need.
ChatGPT 6 like level of AI. Like, you know, yeah. I assume that there's going to be other companies that do this better.
You didn't know much about the Humane company before we talked about it, right?
No, not really. I was just looking at it while you're talking about it. It just looks dumb.
I was going to ask you, like, so you've probably got a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
And now you've kind of looked a little bit at it. So you just, not a fan.
I can't really see any time I would ever use this. Like,
and it's subscription based.
oh my God.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to finish that drawing of the horse, I just want to tap that bit.
Yeah, no way.
I feel like the only way to make that work is to just put it in a piece of tech that we just carry already. Like
what about, imagine if they put it in a phone. Oh, wow, that would be amazing.
That's what I mean. Like, why would you put your hand out, look for the laser light thing to try do this when you could just pull your phone out? You know? Like, I feel like as soon as Siri is entirely AI or something and it's way more responsive, we won't ever need that.
It's like they're putting this product, it's just sitting there waiting to be overtaken by the smartphone with AI in it. It's just,
I think it's something modular that you that can work with the phone, but also you can work without the phone.
Right.
So, not the watch. I mean, the watch could have some of that, but I don't know.
The watch would be a better implementation of it, wouldn't it? Like,
like imagine something that sticks to the phone, maybe like a magnetic clip-on or something that.
But I still don't get it. Like, if it's with the phone, might as well be in the phone. Like,
no, then you can just you can take it out, maybe like put it as a ring or so. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, like something that you can use outside of the phone as well, where you don't have to carry your phone everywhere. There's a ring, or you can put it around your neck or on your pocket or something that also works in and of itself.
But does the laser know? Does it know that your hand is there when it turns on? Or you're just blasting people in the eye sockets at all times
with the lasers?
Yeah,
and it's like like a full-on laser party. Just take it to a rave. Cool concert this weekend.
It's just like projected at the wall, and it's just like this big time and sunny cloud like logo or something. Everyone's like, what's that? Anyway, but honestly, I think it's one of those products that's looking for a problem to solve right now. Like, smartphones can do a lot of it, and if you take it without the smartphone, then you're missing a lot of things. It's kind of just not quite there.
One thing I do know is that don't use the Grok AI.
I see memes about the Grok.
Yeah, so did you know much about the Grok?
Yeah, so Elon Musk is just like, we're going to make an AI that's
a funny version of AI.
Oh, did he say funny?
Well, apparently it understands humor better than other AIs, and that was a selling point.
Right, but apparently I just heard it's a free-for-all. There's no restrictions or whatever.
So I'll read the tweet that the X AI team, which again Elon Musk owns, it says, Grok is an AI modeled after the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so intended to answer almost anything, and far harder, even suggest what questions to ask. Grok is designed to answer questions with a bit of wit and has a rebellious streak, so please don't use it if you hate humor. A unique and fundamental advantage of Grok is that it has real-time knowledge of the world via the X platform. So again, remember how I talked about using all the tweets to be able to build as a LLM. It will also answer spicy questions that are rejected by most other AI systems. So I'm guessing it's using that same freedom of speech tagline. It also says Grok is still a very early beta product. The best we could do is 2 months of training, so expect it to improve rapidly with each passing week with your help. Thank you. So that's, I guess, the positioning. Two main angles from that statement. Seems like it's supposed to be funny, and you can ask it any questions without filter. Right. I guess that's this.
Yeah, this reminds me of the Splinternet phenomenon again. I don't know if you've heard about Splinternet. It's like where the internet kind of goes into different. So you have the mainstream internet, and then those people who want something a bit more and a bit more freedom, and they splinter off into whatever. They create their own social media platforms, parallel payment economies, all this kind of stuff. I feel like that's happening with AI now. You have the mainstreams and then the splintered off AI. So I feel like, it could be funny, it could be whatever, but probably max 10% of AI users in total would probably gravitate towards that because it suits their needs. But otherwise, I don't see it being a huge takeover. Clear. But I could be completely wrong. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's clear OpenAI is the leader right now. I don't know if they have 400 or 500 million weekly users, or was it fortnightly? But it could very well be close to 1 billion a month or something like that. I think after looking at the stats, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
again, getting that many users within a year and still actively using it, that tells me it's really hard to catch up to that.
And with such a bad name as well. Like it was just
ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's like not a. It literally is generative transformer. What does
GPT stand for? Generative pre-trained transformer.
Yes, there
so
you go.
should be
yes.
GPTT.
Thinking of GT cars or something. But anyway, so yeah, it's just the science name. There's no like branding or anything, and still, because usually that's important. Like people are like. Well,
I think the name is so novel in and of itself that people just navigated towards it, and it's because it's the first of its kind.
Maybe
there's no like a benchmark for people to compare it to, which is why like Bard and what's Microsoft's one again?
Microsoft is ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, because they got the Microsoft one.
So yeah, Google's Bard. Bard.
Grok and Bard and.
I think though. Google is trying to roll Bard a little bit into search. I don't know if you've seen some of the new stuff that's kind of happening, like the summaries and whatnot.
A little bit.
Yeah, so I think that's the way they're going to go. They're kind of going to leak it into all the Google products instead of... They'll still have Bard, but it's not the be-all and end-all, I think. But yeah, in reference to Grok, I think, I don't know. I don't see it becoming mainstream, but yeah. What do you think, Braden?
No, it sounds like a disaster waiting.
Man, Braden's on a roll. He's just dunking on these companies. Hates Humane, hates Grok.
I'm just curious when it says humor, you're letting an AI define humor, like based on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, Twitter's just domestic terrorism, like just hate comments. What do you... I don't know, man.
And this is not coming from a Threads user either, so Braden generally feels that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. We'll see what kind of news articles and stories pop up from this. It's like, a PR disaster waiting to happen, but I don't think Musk cares. So
again, at this point, too big to, not fail, but more so,
he's immune.
It's just Elon Musk, man. Yeah. Like FTX, SBF.
Yes.
I saw this. I stumbled upon this Twitter account called Aged Poorly or something like that, things that age poorly.
Yes.
And I saw this this tweet from Sam saying how FTX is completely fine. The asset. This is like from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, people are trying to take us down.
Yeah.
Screenshot of the tweet.
I think I remember it was like a competitor is trying to take us down. Yeah, assets are fine. Exactly. FTX is fine.
Yeah, and then it just goes on to a Twitter thread about details. And there's another one within the same account where Sam uploaded a Facebook photo from like 2011 or 12 about like a fortune cookie reading. Those things.
Yeah.
And it said something like, "You'll be inventor of wacky inventions" or something like that. And he uploaded that photo in 2011.
Well, he got whacked. He got whacked, all right. That's for sure.
So look, you made the video. I'll just pass it on to you. To cover the story.
So there's 2 trials. Well, one has already passed, and there's going to be a second one in March of next year. So far, maximum sentencing is looking at 115 years, but I doubt he'll get anywhere close to that. But still, it's good that he's been prosecuted, found guilty on all 7 charges. A lot of wire fraud and all those kind of charges. But I found it interesting, just Caroline, his ex-girlfriend, and her testimony and how she, basically just said everything, just ratted him out and destroyed him. and he didn't make it better for himself as well, because how he got arrested. No, he wasn't arrested. The whole scandal went down and things were going down. And before his arrest, he did all of these high-profile media interviews. He went on podcasts, and CoffeeZilla approached him twice. And, there's all these YouTubers that were interviewing. He was just saying everything to everyone. And then the prosecution were just like, "Oh, did you say this thing?" And it's like, "No, I don't recall. I'm not sure." And then they'll just like play it. So like all this incriminating stuff that he said, he just got destroyed with it. But I think one journalist was saying in the court case, he said on one day, he said, "I do not recall 140 something times." That was his method, just saying, "I don't know, I can't recall, I'm not sure."
I guess I'm assuming the lawyer probably told him just to say that.
Well, I don't know. The lawyer wasn't very good, because he should have sought legal advice before he went out there. But anyway, so he got demolished basically, and I think there's going to be more in the March 24 2024 trial. There's going to be stuff to do with some of the money that he spent to politicians and what's going on with the wider picture, I think. And in terms of the jail sentences of his accomplices, I'm not actually entirely sure what's happening with their trials yet, but I think those are forthcoming. But yeah, FTX is done, SBF is done, is out of here.
So with the March trial, it's really not going to make much of a difference then?
Oh, with the sentencing?
Yeah.
So it'll be more on top of
Oh,
yeah,
on top of- oh.
yeah. So
Oh, God.
yeah, and the thing is, you know, he was playing plausible deniability. Like if you're watching his interviews, it's always like, yeah, like just got a bit of ahead of ourselves. We just made a mistake. We didn't have very good quality controls or like risk management, just all of these things. It was like, if you had no idea and you was just coming and watching that, you might be like, oh yeah, maybe he just, you know, screwed up a few things. But yeah, he really knew what was going on the whole time, the entire time.
With the Blackberry movie, there was a part where SEC comes in to investigate again. It's not a spoiler-ish because if you know the story, you do. But essentially, it was showing how some people in the company actually don't know what goes on, especially if you give the weight of responsibility to someone else to make those big decisions, and you're just focusing on the tech or something. But with SBF, it seems like
Caroline said that a lot of the times he was the one to make those major calls.
Yes.
Like when it came to the investors' funds being spent and commingled in Alameda Research, which is the other company, Caroline was like, Sam, that was Sam's decision. He told us to do that. And a lot of his other friends who ratted him out were saying like, yeah, he was the guy who orchestrated a lot of this.
Because the thing is, if you're the founder and then you give out the decisions to somebody else, you still have to sign off on things.
But not that they had any signing there.
Right. So
Like,
that makes things even harder.
I think some of the prosecution was saying like, you know, he took $1 billion in loans and like all these money was flying left, right and center. They bought private jets, etc. But none of it was documented. It was just like, it was complete chaos in there.
Yeah, he doesn't recall.
Yeah.
A professor warns that the sun is angry and it's going to knock out the internet. This professor at George Mason University, Peter Becker, is calling it the internet apocalypse. And he reckons that because the sun is entering one of its more active periods, solar flares or coronal mass ejections is going to distort the Earth's magnetic field and destroy the internet.
Yeah, that's perfectly plausible. And I've been hearing stuff about this. We'll get to this. But have you heard about the poles flipping? The Earth poles?
In 2012, yes.
No.
The Mayan calendar.
I think it's a very slow process until it's not. But I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, there's been talk. It's been years ago since I read it, but like it started. I don't know if you've heard about it, right? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just like all those Mayan calendar things coming in at once.
Just an 11-year delay. It's 2023. So 2012.
They calculated wrong.
I mean, to be fair, we were out of internet last week. If you're an Optus user, it was a mini apocalypse for many. 8 hours outage.
But they promised to give us free internet on the weekend till the end of the year. So,
really?
Did you get that message?
No.
Are you guys
Optus?
Optus?
Yes.
You're
Yeah,
not
Optus. I'm Optus.
Yeah, I got that message.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a couple of days later.
I didn't get that.
Oh. Maybe just select users or something. I don't know. But yeah, so like I guess that the whole coronal ejections and whatnot, I think what they're saying is like it's a huge electromagnetic pulse that just basically causes a current within all of our infrastructure and fries it.
That's not good.
It's happened in the past before we've had electricity, so that those events have happened. But
So before, like, the society has had electricity.
Before civilization got electricity,
Did it have any impact on? I don't know.
Don't think so. No.
Okay.
Because it's just electromagnetic
Right.
radiation. It doesn't. So I don't know. We'll see, but I don't know if there's anything we can do about it.
Yes, I mean, I bring the Optus one up because the morning after, because the stories that came out for not having those 8 hours, and again, this is only a segment of.
It's about half the nation. Half is
the
Telstra,
nation.
half is Optus and subsidiaries. So,
Right. So.
But okay. By the way, for anyone internationally watching, Optus is like one of the national telecom companies. There's like basically two. So 50% of the population had an outage for like 8 hours.
8 hours, and it's kind of late into the night. So I actually arrived back in Australia that day.
Okay.
And I thought I was putting my SIM wrong or something. I was like, why isn't it working?
Right.
But yeah, the next morning it turns out that there was a big outage. And then just the stories of people struggling to do day-to-day things because of an internet outage actually does put things into perspective as to how
important it is.
How reliant we are on
Starlink?
Yeah, well, Elon Musk again on the picture. But yeah, it was actually quite crazy, like from ATMs to people's businesses to nursing homes to everything was impacted, right? And you can only imagine what an internet apocalypse would look like.
So I guess
we wouldn't have jobs.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I'd have to go back to nothing, really. Engineering or something. But I think it is crazy when you think about just how much we are reliant on it, and I guess that little outage showed us.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too affected. I think by the time I noticed,
woke up. Yeah. I only got the news after I woke up.
Yeah. So. But yeah, crazy stuff. Is there anything else in that story? Or?
No, I think that story is just about it. So I think I don't know when it's predicted to be, but probably in the coming months, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not sure.
You can predict that accurately.
Yeah, you can't probably. But I think it says if it were to hit one day, it would cause a massive storm. Maybe we should find out when it happens and buy our Humane pins and see how that's impacted. And if it's not impacted, then that's a great value prop they'll have.
Turns into a hand
In the
grenade.
case of internet outage because of solar storms, this is the one thing that doesn't get impacted. So there you go. Hire me, Humane.
Somehow I doubt it. Somehow. All right. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And we'll catch you again soon for the next episode. Cheers, guys.